Now we go with Yusuf. It says, "Hi Abe, I'm a final year game art student focusing on character art, and I've been following your work. I really appreciate you doing portfolio reviews and helping people improve. What you do is really valuable." Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate your kind words. I'm currently refining my portfolio and pushing my characters to reach game industry standards. Let's take a look. Okay. Interesting. So we got some good range down here. That's interesting. I don't know what's this up here. Like maybe it's a character of yours or something. I do try to keep things a little bit more professional. So for instance, something that I recommend, it's a personal preference of mine, have a picture of yourself right here. Like I want to see who you, Yusuf, are. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's the best cover right there. Let's take a look at this. Running animation sprite. Probably take this one out because you're not going to be doing pixel art. It looks good though. It's a fun one. You did a good job here. I'm going to criticize this just in case anyone is an artist or like an animation artist. But when you're doing a run cycle, you always want to keep the hip of the character going forward. Can you see how there's a frame right there where it seems like the characters are like pushing back like this? I'm not sure if I can show you the exact frame. It seems to me like it's this frame right here. So in most of the frames, the hip, the relationship between the head and the hip are like a forward vector like this. Like you have a specific inclination of things going in a direction, and then there's a couple of frames, which is this one right here and this one right here, where that angle changes. That angle doesn't change that much, and that's why it seems like the characters are like, I don't know, like stopping and going again. And if you want this thing to always feel like it's moving forward, make sure that that angle is like kept. Let's go to the next one. Let's take a look at the characters now. What is it? Oh, concept art. No, I'm not gonna check concept art, guys. I'm not gonna check concept arts. This is another concept art. It's a good concept, don't get me wrong. Like you did a good like investigation and thumbnailing and everything. It's valuable. I'm not gonna say take this out. I'm just saying, since I'm not a concept artist, I'm not gonna be able to evaluate this as objectively, so I'm not gonna be able to tell you if this is good or bad. I do feel it's a little bit busy, a little bit like contrasty, punchy. But it's a good design in general. The only thing I don't like, and I've mentioned this before, is when people do their own concepts, because that's not something that you're going to be doing frequently on the what's the word, on the job. I don't think this is very successful, and it's weird, man. It's weird because your high poly looks really good. I really like this high poly, and then something happened. What happened here, man? What happened? Feel like two completely different characters, man. You use Xgent for the hair? It looks like you use Fiverr Shop. Are those? Oh no, you use the you use the hair cards. Oh man, this is a tough one for me to review because, again, like I think this high poly looks really good. Like the cloth, like the knife, everything looks very, very nice. And then something happened on the retopology stage where I feel like you didn't capture all of that information properly. But no, your retopology also looks good. So I think what happened on this one in particular, my friend, is your texturing stage. The texturing stage killed this character. Like the dynamism that the character has, especially like on the leather jacket. Like I see this folds right here, this amazing like details on the jacket that you did, I'm guessing on Marvel's Designer, and then we somehow lost it here. I also feel like you did something on the face. So we have a big problem with this face, and as a character artist, this is like the face is probably one of the most, if not the most important part of the character. So let me point out what I see on this face that it's really like bothering me. So on this face right here, my friend, the distance between one eye and the other is way too big, right? Usually the proportion says that from one side to the head to the other, we should have 5 eyes. Here you can fit almost 2 extra eyes on this slot right here. And I understand that there might be some like people out there. There are some medical conditions where the distance between the eyes is like very, very big. So if that's part of the character's backstory, okay, I understand. But this is definitely getting into the uncanny valley side of things. Same for the distance from the starting point of the hair to the eyeline. Like it's way too far up. Like it should be a little bit further down, like around here. So this is where we should start seeing like the hair. because this looks like a massive forehead, and having like a massive forehead right there added to the massive like gap between the eyes, it's definitely not healthy. And then yeah, someone else pointed out here in the chat, the pose, it just feels very, very unnatural. If this an advice that a teacher of ours gave us when I was a student, almost like, well, God, like 10 years ago or more. If you don't know how to pose, don't pose. That's it. I know it's not going to be as efficient or as cool to have a T-pose character or like an A-pose character, but if you don't know how to pose, don't pose, because it can hurt you more than help you, okay? Everything else is perfect. Like, your topology is spot on. Your UVs are great. The sculpting, the high sculpt is very, very nice. Like, your control over like a Marvel's Designer stuff, it's very, very nice. But something happening on the texturing stage, like, I do not like the texturing on this character, and something happening on the rendering stage and some of the proportions. So those will be the points where I would like try to improve upon. Similar thing to what I mentioned to someone else, eyes here look very dead, very sort of like fakeish. The structure of the face is not bad. I still feel like some of the proportions are a little bit off, like a little bit too cartoony, too stylized. I like what you did with the hair. Hair is very tricky, and this looks like a good creation. I feel like the shading of the hair can be a little bit better. It looks way too noisy, way too glossy, way too perfect, way too smooth. But that's something that's easily fixable with this kind of things right here. This is getting better. Proportions here on the face are getting a little bit better. What were you using here? Were you using like metahumans or something like that? Okay, interesting way I'm presenting this character because... Oh, for some reason it jumped straight to that picture. Yeah, here, you really love your red backgrounds. I strongly recommend that you don't make a background that's way too intense, because then it takes away from the rest of the characters. Again, proportions, man. Proportions. And I'm sorry to be such an intense guy about that, but it's one of the things that I see all the time. Here, if we take a line from the top of the head to the pelvis, that should be 4 heads, right? Usually. Let me change the color because again it's... There we go. So that should be 4 heads right there. Get rid of auto select. If I duplicate that, this character is 8.5 heads tall. So what this is telling me is that the legs are way too long, like very, very, very long. And this point right here should be like way, way shorter. And I can actually show it to you right here. Like, I'm just gonna grab the hips here. See how much more balanced the character? Well, it doesn't look super balanced right now because of the what's the word? Let me try skew here. There you go. So, because the character looks very realistic, right? We're going for this, kind of reminds me a little bit of like cyberpunk kind of like style. You definitely want to make sure that things look, again, a little bit more proportionate. If you want the character to be tall, that's fine. I have nothing against a tall character, but one of the things that you need to do is make sure that the proportions are as correct as possible. I'm not saying that, again, that cannot be anyone out there who's got like very long legs. It is possible. We can make the legs, for instance, a little bit longer, and that's fine. But yours were way, way too long, and that was making the whole character look weird. Like, see how high the hips are? Like, they're all the way up here. So these are like humongous legs. So that's the kind of stuff that I would really recommend you pay attention to. And again, the hair looks way too shiny, way too oily. Where are you doing the render? Yeah, Unreal Engine has like very, very good hair shading stuff. We actually covered that on the hair course, in both the hair cards and in the hair fibers like section. So there's no excuse for the hair to look that like glossy. Like, we can definitely play with the realism of the hair. But once more, I feel like texturing is one of the opportunity areas for you, my friend, where we can definitely increase our skills a little bit to make things look a lot better. Okay, you are in a good position. Like, you knowing all of the skills required to do these characters is really, really good. So again, hopefully you don't feel super discouraged with all of the things that I've said so far. But there's definitely those weak points that I see on the portfolio. Does this mean that you cannot get a job? No. Like, you could probably get a job, again, as a junior artist. Like, that's very, very probable. But if you want to take it to the next level, improve your textures and check your proportions, because that seems to be something that I see happening quite often. Okay.